gonna like this video. Kill info is missing for kill number 4. My bad. It shouldn't say 43 minutes in. Throat slit by Henry Bowers. The shower got erased, but my apologies for the error. James A. Janice. It Chapter 2 2019 kill count. I haven't watched this movie, so let's get right into it. Sounds kind of loud.
Welcome to the kill count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at It Chapter 2, released in 2019. It Chapter 2 is the sequel to 2017's wildly popular It Chapter 1, which I previously covered in a two-part kill count. I also did a two-part kill count for the 1990 It miniseries, but It Chapter 2 will be covered in a single video. YouTube's algorithm changed. It's boring. Don't worry about it. Chapter 2 sees the losers from the first film all grown up into a group of remarkably sexy adults. If you've read Stephen King's book or seen the ABC miniseries, you already know what to expect from this second half. 27 years after fighting Pennywise, the evil dancing clown, the losers are summoned back to Derry, Maine to vanquish their old shape-shifting nemesis once and for all. A lot of the crew from the first movie returned for the sequel, and they all worked under the leadership of the siblings Muschietti. Andy Muschietti in the director's chair, and his sister Barbara Muschietti as producer. Andy and Barbara are both lifelong Stephen King fans, having read his books since they were the same age as the kids in part 1. They're both lovely, passionate people.
And he has a lot of fans that actually like go on to do big things
in the industry. Spend nearly 5 years of their lives making these two movies and telling this ambitious story. It Chapter 2 had a tough hill to climb from the start. Living up to the box office smashing first film was always going to be a difficult task, especially when the ensemble cast of kid actors was a big part of what made it so successful. In fact, one of the most common criticisms of the It miniseries was that the second adult-focused half wasn't as strong as the first. I guess John Ritter kissing clowns just couldn't match kids building trash dams or whatever. Would It Chapter 2 face the same kind of negative reaction? Maybe a little bit. It wasn't received as enthusiastically as the first, neither critically nor at the box office. But in my opinion, anyone calling this an awful movie is overstating the case. It's definitely not as strong as the first one, for a number of reasons, including pacing, with the movie nearly 3 hours long, tone, with a few too many comedic beats at inappropriate moments, and scariness. I don't think it's nearly as scary as Chapter 1. But I'm willing to excuse a lot of that, since I was blown away by the movie's epic scale, how hilarious it was when the comedy landed, and most of all, the cast they got for the adult losers. They took a lot of care to find physically similar actors, a process that began on set during the first film and included input from the kid actors.
From the beginning, I was always Bill Hader. I was just like a super fan. But yeah, it's a very unconventional way of hiring someone. Saying a 14-year-old told me to hire you.
They were obviously very successful at this endeavor. James Ransone looks exactly like a grown-up version of Jack Dylan Grazer, a similarity that even Ransone's closest relatives noted right off the bat.
Even my brother, he saw this in the theater and he was like, that kid looks like PJ. He was weirded out by it.
But it's not just the physical similarities that make this cast impressive. It's also the raw acting talent on display. Everyone is phenomenal, and I'm gonna riot when Bill Hader's performance inevitably gets overlooked for an Oscar. It's the cast's heartfelt portrayals that give the film's heavy emotional beats such weight. I cried both times I saw this in theaters, and I love it when a movie makes me cry, man. Couple of quick notes before we get started. First, I may mention some production info that probably would have been more appropriate in the kill count for the first movie, but back then, I didn't include as much behind the scenes info as I do now. And speaking of the It Chapter 1 kill count, I actually have some corrections to make regarding it, but I'll explain after we do the numbers for this movie, so stick around for those. All that being said, let's finally get into it. Chapter 2. The movie begins with young Beverly Marsh floating in a sewer. Damn it, Ben, I told you that deadlights are like the eclipse. You're not supposed to look directly at them. We kind of recap the ending of the first movie, and if you like recaps and flashbacks, well, you're in luck. This film's got a lot of them. It's one of the things that slows down the pace a bit, but at least most of it is new footage filmed specifically for this movie. We're not watching the same exact stuff all over again. 27 years later, boyfriends Don and Adrian are enjoying a dairy carnival and all the fun prizes they can win there.
Never been a fan of the beaver, but
Look at this hat.
Unfortunately, a group of violent and hormonal homophobes see them and follow the couple to a bridge. Heads up, this is a very graphic and uncomfortable scene, so, you know, don't watch if you don't want to. Because these bullies don't just beat these innocent dudes up, they fucking brutalize them, man. And it doesn't help that you've got that little shit laughing the whole time, too.
That's crazy.
Look what you did to his fucking face.
The assailants dump Adrian's body into the river, then run off to get in line for the tilt-a-whirl. As Don makes his way down to save his boyfriend, Adrian starts swimming towards the only figure he can see nearby. What is that thing? Oh, just your average run-of-the-mill riverbank clown. Pennywise stares across the river at Don before he grows some fangs and chomps into Adrian's side. What would that be, a flank steak? Don cries in horror as Nina starts singing about nuclear war or whatever, and Pennywise dis-a-fucking-peers. Our sleepy part-time narrator for the film is Mike Hanlon, who still lives in Derry.
Why did those kids do that? Like, little that kid, you gotta listen. If you're living in America, bro, you gotta have something on you, bro. Someone try to step to me, boom, boom.
Who is played by Isaiah Mustafa, who had his final audition for the role on his wedding day. Dude got the part and a wife in the same day. Way to go, man. When he's not too busy turning tickets into diamonds, Mike's checking out crime scenes and learning that a reunion party is being planned for all his friends. Because Mike here is the only loser who stayed in Derry, Maine. Let's see where the others wound up. Bill Denbrough, played by James the Split McAvoy, is now an author living in California, where his latest book is being turned into a Warner Brothers movie starring his wife Audra, who's played by Jess Weixler of Teeth. Too bad she and the movie's director, actual filmmaker Peter Bogdanovich, thinks that Bill is bad at writing endings.
You said you liked the ending. That was a lie.
It's a running joke throughout the movie that evokes the most common criticism of Stephen King's stories, since Bill is, after all, a Stephen King stand-in. Eddie Kasprak, played by James Ransone, lives in New York City and works for an insurance company. He's married to a woman who's so reminiscent of his mother, she's actually played by the same actor, Molly Atkinson.
I love you, Mom.
Why would they do that?
What? Stanley Uris, played by Andy Bean, is also married and very comfortable as an accounting firm partner in Atlanta, Georgia, while Ben Hanscom is a bachelor architect and is introduced with a fun little fake-out. Because at first, you might think this dude in the boardroom is Ben, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that too, since this guy is Brandon Crane, who played young Ben in the 1990 miniseries. But no, our Ben is this hottie hot Skyping in from home, played by New Zealand actor Jay Ryan. Rounding out the losers are Bill Hader as Richie Tozier, a successful stand-up in Chicago, and Jessica Chastain as Beverly Marsh, a big-time fashion designer in New York.
So they all kind of made it big.
Pretty much cast while the first movie was being made. I mean, Finn Wolfhard asked specifically for Hader himself.
That asshole Finn decided to throw my name in the mix.
And Jessica Chastain had been friends with the Muschettis for a while, having starred in their 2013 horror film, Mama. It was actually really fun to see this clip in the Summers of It documentaries.
I can record it so in posterity, if it ever happens, it will be recorded, that we would like for Chastain to play Beverly as the adult. This is something you can pull when we get it.
Although Bev no longer has to live with her abusive, douchey father, it looks like she married an abusive, douchey husband in his stead. Mike calls all of these losers in turn, and although none of them remember their childhoods in Derry, he asks them to come back immediately. A request that causes various reactions, including shaky hands, balcony puking, and T-boning. Oh, and a symbolic divorce. Good for her! Of course, the most severe reaction comes from Stan, who can't bear to keep the promise he made all those years ago. So instead, he kills himself in the bathroom, slitting his wrists with a razor. It's a sad moment, obviously, but a bit more subdued than how they did it in the miniseries. Looks like they did shoot him writing it on the wall in his blood, but I guess they cut it from the final film. That's all fine, but I just wish his wife still did a crazy scream.
Why did he kill himself?
After Mike finishes lighting the beacons in Derry, we go back in time again to show that Henry Bowers survived his plunge down the Neibolt house well, which, gotta point out, validates the way I handled it 2 years ago.
The movie leaves newcomers thinking Henry is dead, but I think he'll be back because it would be a drastic change from the source material to not have him in part 2.
Damn, Past James, slow the fuck down though. Damn, also, Henry pops out of the sewer alongside a bunch of soggy dead kid bodies, but I'm not gonna count them right now. I'll explain more at the end. Henry was arrested arrested for murdering his father Butch, so he's spent the past 27 years in a psych ward. Adult Henry is played by Teach Grant, who was the only good part of that bullshit Leprechaun Origins bullshit. Grant does a great job mimicking Nicholas Hamilton's mannerisms as the character, which is also the case for all of the adult cast. They were all very serious about capturing the characters as portrayed by the younger cast members.
We were the ones who were hoping we did well, but now everyone else, like the adult versions, are coming to us and saying, we hope we do well for you.
I wanted them to like me so bad.
It helped that at the end of the first film's production, the kid actors all wrote letters, in character, to their older selves. That's some nice pre-made role prep, you know? Henry Bowers gets a visit from zombie Patrick Hochstetter, a change from the miniseries' Zombie Belch, which was itself a change from the book's Zombie Vic. What a wonderful variety of zombie greasers. Hochstetter creepy crawls up to Bowers and gives him his old knife back, and this is why zombie visitors usually aren't allowed. The losers all head to Jade of the Orient, the finest Chinese restaurant in the culinary capital of Derry, Maine. Hugs are exchanged, some more sexually charged than others, and self-deprecating jokes are made.
You two look amazing. What the fuck happened to me?
Although there are some hilarious moments of awkwardness.
Oh, look at these guys.
Why did Stanley kill himself?
It's alright. They have a good time, because it's alright.
Really
They're best friends again in no time, palling around and making mama jokes at each other.
Sometimes she'll put her arm around me and she'll whisper to me,
and to no one's surprise, that bit was improvised by Bill Hader. In addition to Hattis, the out-of-town losers are also starting to remember things from their childhood again. Hell, even Bill Stutter makes a minor comeback. Of course, Mike has never forgotten anything since he never left Derry, so after the gang finally remembers Pennywise, Mike tells them that he's back again. In fact, it returns to Derry every 27 years as a sort of evil echo. He reminds them of the oath they took to come back if it ever did.
That's why I brought you back.
I thought they killed him,
That's why
though.
you're here. To finish it.
Ben notices that Stanley's not there, but it's not until their fortune cookies arrive that they find out why. Their one-word fortunes end up spelling out a sentence. Stanley just couldn't cut it. Maybe those words are a coincidence though, y'all. You can't just be jumping to oh, your cookies have gross little baby bugs in them? Ooh, and bat wings? And eyeballs? Alright, yeah, maybe something evil is going on here. They beat the shit out of the table, then try to leave, and they should be alright as long as Richie doesn't mistake any minor fans for Pennywise on their way out.
Fuck you, alright?
Oof, maybe next time. They call Stanley's home and find out that he killed himself, and that just does it. They'd all rather get out of Derry
Bro, I would
fight
have
an
gone
evil
back
clown,
home,
so
bro.
everyone leaves to go back to the inn. Everyone but Bill, that
I would have gone back home after I seen
Mike
that
out.
nonsense,
Elsewhere in Derry, at a Little League game, a bored young girl named Vicky follows a magical firefly under the bleachers and into a dark recess, where Pennywise the clown is waiting for her. She's rightfully afraid of him at first, but Pennywise wins her over in one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
People always make fun because of the way I look.
I love that Bill Skarsgård gets to do some emotional acting here, instead of just the scary clown stuff.
I can blow that thing right away.
You could?
Oh, yes.
To play the role, originally made famous by Tim Curry, the producers auditioned 160-something people and chose carefully, knowing that the clown's portrayal would set the tone of the film. In the end, the part went to the person with the most impressive audition, Bill Skarsgård. Skarsgård's depiction of the character took some time to figure out, and it wasn't until he was in full makeup, oh god, I said full makeup, and costume, that he was able to land on Pennywise's specific behavior. Pennywise's appearance was kept secret from the kid actors to get a genuine reaction in their first scene with him. But after that initial scare, Skarsgård got along real well with them all.
Yeah, he killed it. That dude killed it. Wait, which other movie have I seen this dude before?
Can't hear you.
I've seen him somewhere before.
And he was always careful to make sure his young scene partners were okay.
You okay? Good job.
His biggest fan on set may have been Jackson Robert Scott, who played Georgie and who cried when he was initially kept from seeing Pennywise. Also, just gotta say, I never get tired of watching Bill Skarsgård in full makeup acting like a normal dude.
That's great.
It really is. Pennywise's new friendship with Vicky just can't overpower his hunger for children. So after luring her close enough, he turns into a scary clown and bites her in the face. He kills her below the bleachers, with none of the adults overhead ever knowing
where were her
the damn
parents?
thing. And hey, let's pick up another kill for the count over at the psych ward, where Henry Bowers is now making his escape by killing people like this inmate here. Looks like the guy got his throat slit. Also kind of looks like that Joey dude from Friday 5. Although Henry scares that guard there, we don't see a confirmed kill before we cut to Henry breaking out and getting driven away by zombie Hochstetter. Mike takes Bill to the dairy library, where Ben was once leered at by a creepy librarian, and upstairs to his apartment. This motherfucker lives in the library like some literary Quasimodo. Mike gives Bill some water and shows him an artifact that he apparently stole from the fictional Shakapiwa tribe. Oh, and also, he just drugged Bill. So let's go on a magic carpet ride. This Shakapiwa backstory is an invention of the movies, and honestly, a little bit weird. I think the equivalent scene in the book involves the kids doing hallucinogens in a tent, and I guess they replaced that with this. Oh, and flashing lights warning for a mo, because the story that Mike tells Bill is stroberific and full of crazy glue people fighting a legendary Pokemon. Or, sorry, that's another form of it. The vision shows Bill the ritual of Chud, which is not a traditional sermon for cannibal humanoid underground dwellers. Instead, it's a book thing that involves, let's see here, biting its tongue? That can't be right. Mike and Bill head back to the town's inn and stop the other losers from leaving. With Bill backing Mike now, they agree that it's time to chud up or shut up. And since the ritual of chud is dependent on memory or something, they have to start back at their absolute favorite place from childhood.
The clubhouse.
Yeah, the clubhouse. Remember it from the first movie? All that time they spent in the clubhouse? Oh, well, that's okay. They filmed new footage for us. Of course, filming new footage with kids a couple years later meant some of them looked pretty different. So for this and some other flashback scenes, a few of the kids had to be digitally de-aged. I think it was mainly Jeremy Ray Taylor as Ben, Jack Dylan Grazer as Eddie, and definitely Finn Wolfhard as Richie. It's not super noticeable, unless maybe you do some side-by-sides with the first movie. But I guess sometimes their dubbed over lines sound a little weird.
Hey, Rich, your 10 minutes are up.
What are you talking about?
The hammock, 10 minutes each was the rule.
According to Andy Muschietti, their physical appearance wasn't the only thing that required adjusting either.
Your behavior changes from 12 to 15, and I had to remind them that they were not 15 in the fiction, they were 12. They would just like come and naturally do a scene. I would say,
they were 12 in the first movie?
Give me the 12-year-old version.
They did not look 12.
I actually really love that the actors, just like the characters in the movie, had to relive their pasts in order to finish telling this story. That's what we call thematic resonance. This flashback and the gang's super iconic clubhouse also reminds us all that Stanley Uris fucking loved his shower caps. Man, he was always cleaning stuff with that shower cap on, right? No? Not at all in the first movie? Oh well. The adult losers still say that this dirty shower cap right here is a suitable emotional stand-in for their dead stuffy friend. It's one of 7 items
you did not need to kill
if they want to be Elmer Chud. 7 items for the 7 of them, since each must sacrifice an artifact from their past. To find them, they have to split up, since they had separated 27 years ago after that fight they had stemming from their first Neibold House adventure. This kicks off a series of fetch quests known as the Walking Tour, wherein each loser has to revisit their past to find their tokens. Well, all of them but Mike. He doesn't get a segment. Bev is up first. She visits her childhood apartment to find an elderly woman by the name of Mrs. Kirsch living there. Kirsch tells Bev that her father passed away some time ago. But note that that happened in between movies, kind of outside of the story. So I'm not gonna count it in this movie, and I'll once again note that I was right not to include him the first time around, since he didn't die from that toilet tank lid. Bev steps inside for tea at Mrs. Kirsch's insistence, and while it's being prepared, she goes to her old room and cracks open a piece of that molding. Oh yeah! Inside the wall, she finds an old stash of cigarettes and the postcard poem given to her by Ben. January Evans. My heart burns there too. Oh, that's nice. Do you like poetry, Mrs. Kirsch? Oh, never mind, she's gone. Dead. Bev has a creepy spot of tea with Mrs. Kirsch in a scene that was Mrs. Kirsch. Oh, never mind. My heart burns there too. Oh, that's nice. Do you like poetry, Mrs. Kirsch? Oh, never mind, she gone.
Well,
Bev has a creepy spot of tea with
Just have to make sure.
in a scene that was basically released
Is that the real
trailer. Also,
the
Chelsea and I got to reenact this scene with actor Joan Gregson at a Warner Brothers event.
Are you Daddy's little girl too? Yeah.
That's
Glad to hear that.
That's insane.
She was both lovely and creepy, and she even did the unnerving stare at me. It was great. Eventually, Mrs. Kirsch derobes and turns into a big naked monster. Rah, rah, rah. I'm not a big fan of the continued use of CG monsters in these movies, but I will say I like those neck mounts. Before
So
Bev
was she already a
leaves,
monster
she sees
in the first
Pennywise
place,
in its
or-
human form without the clown makeup on. It's more good stuff from Skarsgård as he tells Bev it's useless to fight him. She finally runs out and her segment ends. Damn, we've got how many more of these things? On to Richie, who finds his token.
So
in
was the
old
woman
abandoned
already
movie
that,
theater.
or she got
Turns
killed
out his
in
token
that scene?
is a token. Who'd have thunk it? He has a flashback to a time when he almost made a new friend, until the kid was scared away by Richie's overeagerness and the fact that his cousin was Henry Bowers, who just walked in with his bully buds, Belch and Vic. Since this is the only time we see him in this movie, I just want to mention that the actors who play the bullies are the nicest fucking dudes. Nick Hamilton and Jake Sim especially are super friendly and down to earth. And I love
He
how
looks
on the set
Canadian.
of the first film, just like how Skarsgård did, they always made sure the actors playing the losers were comfortable and felt safe after each take. Much nicer than their characters, who call Richie a gay slur until he runs away. In the Derry Town Square, young Richie was then yelled at
Oh my
and
God,
chased
what
by
the
an
hell?
animated Paul Bunyan statue,
Yo.
which might be my favorite special effect in the film. Young Richie was able to will the scary monster away, but old Richie can't stop himself from seeing Pennywise atop the lumberjack. And this balloon-floating bastard says he knows something private about Richie.
I know your secret, your dirty little secret.
I wish his secret had been set up in the first film, but before we can think too much about it, Richie runs away and leaves
Damn.
Pennywise's face to melt in peace. Bill's lonely travels take him to a pawn shop where his old bike Silver is
Yo,
on
it's actually
display
a
in the
lot.
window.
That's
To get
different
the
from the
bike,
first
he
movie.
has to haggle with the owner, who's played by none other than Stephen King
That's
himself.
fire. He's trying to be-
Andy
is
Muschietti
he trying to be
just
like,
asked
Stan
King
Lee?
if he wanted to do a cameo, and King agreed to do it despite some reservations about his own thespian abilities.
I'm not much of an actor.
Hey, don't count yourself short, Steve. Jordy Verrill's a goddamn treasure. Although his cameo may pull people out of the movie a bit, it is pretty funny. And in the end, King was happy with his performance.
I am now in my mind writing my Oscar acceptance speech.
That's crazy.
King fleeces Bill for the bike, since he's a big fancy rider, and even pokes fun at himself when he gives Bill some book feedback.
I didn't like the ending.
With Silver properly saddled again, Bill pedals his heart out all the way to the sewer entrance where his little brother Georgie was killed. In a flashback, he remembers a time when Pennywise's disembodied voice blamed him for Georgie's death, touching on a guilt that was established in the first movie, so that one rings true. Adult Bill sees in the sewer a paper boat in his brother's hands. But then there's another hand, and then a bunch of tiny baby hands, and now they're all getting handsy with Bill.
Yo.
Ew! Could someone please give this guy a
You gotta
hand
escape,
with
you
all
gotta
this?
escape, you gotta
He
escape.
gets away with his arm intact and the paper boat in his hand, only to find that kid from the Jade Orient staring at him. Bill warns the little boy to stay away from the sewer, and when the kid mentions hearing clown voices in his tub drain, well, boy, oh boy, does that set Billy off. Yo, dude, chill. You don't know this kid.
Tell me you understand!
I understand you about to get arrested there, Bill. Better let that kid go and not have such a cow, man. Ben's
Better let
vignette
the
sees him
kid
go to the
chill,
high
bro.
school where he once took a summer
Yo,
class
James
in a
Egan is kinda
room with a
funny.
turtle on the desk. And if you got
Sometimes it's
excited
funny.
about seeing a turtle, knowing how it ties into the novel, you're not the only one.
Dude, are we supposed to see a turtle in this movie? In this game?
Dude, there's a turtle scene in this.
It's a sign!
Ben relives a time when he was alone in the classroom with Beverly, who he's had a crush on since first sight. He finally went for it there, and things didn't exactly go well.
Oh my god.
No.
You actually thought I could like someone as fat and gross and disgusting like you?
Is this
Well,
a
that's
real
not
scene?
nice. Come on, quit flaming the kid, Bev. Oh, I can see
Oh,
how
no.
that might be a little difficult for you.
February at base.
I did not see this in the first movie, bro.
I like Scary Firehead Bev.
I don't
anyway,
remember seeing
Ben's
this in the first
token is
movie.
his yearbook page, signed by Bev, which is actually something he's always held on to, as we saw in his introductory
That thing
scene.
back there was kind of scary.
Actually, something he's
Yeah, that thing
always
back there
held
was kinda
on
scary.
to, as we saw in his introductory scene. Must make it pretty difficult for him then, when back at the inn, Bev tells him she thinks Bill wrote the postcard poem for her. Before Ben can correct her, Richie gets back and says that he's leaving. While Ben tends to Richie, we get Eddie's vignette, which includes a background cameo by director Andy Muschietti as Eddie goes to pick up an inhaler from his pharmacist, Dr. So-and-so. He has the most monster flick sequence of the movie in a flashback that shows him in the basement of the pharmacy. He heard his mom yelling down there and found her tied to a stretcher with a chained up being slowly coming towards her. Oh my god, is that a ghost? No, it's the Neibolt House leper who scared Eddie in the first movie.
Oh.
It scares him again so much that he abandons his mom and lets the monster French kiss her. Ew. Now, as an adult, Eddie's down in the basement again, ready to see if his mom's still stuck on that stretcher. She's not, but the leper's still there.
God.
After it grabs Eddie by the face, this happens. Nah, man, I don't have any idea what that was. And honestly, I feel like it's one of a few moments in this movie that breaks the tension in a bad way. I will say, they had an impressive vomit budget, though.
Dude, that was not gonna stop. It was like fumbling him and 6 of his friends.
Eddie gets back to the inn, followed by Bill, who has a lovey-dovey moment with Beth. First, they remember their childhood kiss, and then they reenact it. Bill, you got a wife, dude. Jess Weixler, remember?
Fuck you, Bill.
Before the infidelity can continue, Bill and Bev are skateboard scared with cool anti-gravity blood effects. Bill gets the message that skateboard kid from the Jade Orient is in danger. Determined not to let him die like Georgie did, he takes off for the dairy fair, out into the dairy air. Richie is also on his way out, totally done with this shit, and as he leaves, he fails to notice Hochstetter's idling car, which heralds Henry Bowers' return to the movie.
He's dead.
It's your time, Eddie.
Oh shit, a cheek stab? Eddie steps away from Henry and Laugh hides himself behind the shower curtain before stabbing Henry in the chest with his own damn knife. By the time Bev and Ben get upstairs and help Eddie though, Bowers has escaped and is hightailing it back to the Firebird. Bill bikes his ass to the carnival and sees the skateboard kid entering a funhouse. Flashing lights warning again, because Bill follows the kid inside.
This
and although the production design of the funhouse is great, it's also got a lot of intense strobe lights going on. Bill finds Dean, the skateboard kid, but it's too late to help the freaked out youngster, because Pennywise is already licking at the glass to get in. Bill watches helplessly as Pennywise uses that big old clown noggin of his to bang into the funhouse glass until it begins to crack and break. With one last reared up charge, Pennywise breaks through and eats up the skateboard kid in a very bloody mess. Sad to see him go, man. The little dude playing him, Luke Rossler, was very good and funny in the role. Made his kill that much more impactful. Richie's almost out of dairy when he stops at the synagogue and remembers a speech that Stanley gave at his bar mitzvah. It's thematic and touching and plays over a montage of moments from when the losers were still kids. Make sure you spot that Richie one. It'll come back in the end and get ya. The scene almost feels like a denouement, and it probably would be in any other movie, because we're an hour 50 in here. But not you, It Chapter 2. We've still got an hour left to view. Mike waits for the others at the library, and after seeing a falsified article about how his parents were killed in a fire, he's attacked by Henry Bowers, who he slams through a table. My God! Yeah, this ain't Tim Reed you're charging, Bowers. Isaiah Mustafa played football. Still, the bully nearly gets the best of him until he's stopped by a sudden hatchet to the back of his head. Damn. Good timing on that return there, Richie.
Guess you could say that was long overdue. Get it? Because we're in a library.
Though you are now contaminating a murder scene, you know. Bill calls the others and tells them he wants to face Pennywise alone, but they intercept him before he can get inside Neibolt House to do it. The house on Neibolt Street is an important location for both films, and after production found the perfect space for it, an empty lot of land at the end of a lonely street, they built the house facade from scratch. One of my favorite details is how the building's face has a sort of smile to it, imitating Pennywise's clown form.
So this whole thing looks like a big mall? that is waiting for you to get in and eat you.
The losers don't let the scary house stop them, though, because they made a pledge, damn it, and losers stick together. It's time to go inside that house and finish what they started.
Damn.
Let's kill this fucking clown.
They enter Nebel's house to kick off the extended third act of the film, which has a whole bunch of spooky stuff, the least of which is some melty stairs. The serious set pieces come when the group is divided. On one side of the door, Bill, Richie, and Eddie watch as a zombie fridge Stanley turns into a reference to my favorite horror movie, John Carpenter's The Thing.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
And on the other side of the door, Bev and Mike have to watch as Ben shows off his glorious abs. Oh, sorry, he's getting a message scratched into that. Come on, Pennywise, you're gonna ruin the abs. Somebody stop him. Whew, thank you, Bev. And the abs are still perfect. The Stanley head thing almost kills Richie, especially since Eddie is too afraid to help at all. But Ben comes to the rescue with some super psycho stabs to save the day. Damn, dude, say Tommy Jarvis much? They regroup and head into the basement and hop on down the well to go splashing around in the sewers. I've always really liked the sewers as a climactic setting for this story. Something about them feels so otherworldly and scary. Maybe it's because I know they get flushed out with toxic waste every night, as taught to me by Jason Takes Manhattan. That's some scary shit, man. The losers wind up in the big chamber, where they previously battled Pennywise beneath a sky of dead kids. And there they approach a portal that leads to a deeper layer. Mike doesn't know what's on the other side, but that doesn't stop him from climbing down. Eddie tries to bail out, saying he doesn't want to get them all killed, but Richie convinces him to stay with a pep talk.
You're braver than you think. All right, thanks, Rich. Ow. Sorry.
With that, everyone follows Mike down. They find themselves in another deeper, bigger chamber, which is actually a hole caused by Pennywise's crash landing on Earth a few million years ago. This has been its home ever since, and looks like it's a fan of takeout. Mike leads everyone to the impact point and takes out his native contraband so they can finally chud it up. He makes a starter fluid fire as everyone presents their artifacts. Bill's paper boat, Eddie's inhaler, Richie's arcade token, Bev's postcard poem, and Ben's yearbook page. Oh, what's that, Bev? Starting to realize some things there? Mike's token is a rock from the rock fight they had, since that was the day he joined the losers. And, anything else? Oh yeah, the shower cap that Stanley was never seen without. It was so him. Such good shit. The final step of all this chudding is to hold hands as scary light sperms start swimming down towards them, and to never stop repeating this phrase. Turn light to dark! The lights are its true form, I think, and I like them. They seem suitably epic and abstract. They're also pretty powerful. Too powerful to contain in Mike's leather pyramid. A giant red balloon emerges that fills up a whole bunch of space until it violently pops and knocks the losers a little loopy. But did the ritual work, Mike?
Oh, did it work, Mikey?
Something tells me it didn't. Giant Pennywise tells them that their ritual didn't work because it's never worked. The scratched out fourth side of Mike's guidebook there originally showed that the Shakapiwa mother chudders died.
You lied to us again? They didn't believe they could kill him. That's why it didn't work back then. Are you fucking kidding me, Mike?
That's crazy.
And don't try to say I should count the Shakapiwa on the list either, because their tale is clearly a sort of historical legend being told. And besides, they look like glue people here. More flashing lights warning, because now Pennywise is a giant clown spider, and he gets his own light show as he develops claws and tries to kill the losers. It's this kind of huge-scale stuff that I really appreciate seeing in this movie. It's not often we get a capital B big horror film like this.
Does anyone get
I
killed?
also love how they filmed this scene. They used motion capture technology to put Bill Skarsgård's face on the giant clown spider, and I think it was the first thing he shot for the sequel. That meant it was the first time this dude should have won an Oscar after being away from Pennywise for nearly 2 years. Luckily, Skarsgård found it easy to jump right back in, and his physical performance also provided some basis for the monster's movements.
I am the leader of worlds.
Later, on set, the rest of the cast was chased with a giant Pennywise head on a pole, which is pretty fucking hilarious, while Skarsgård delivered his lines live over a loudspeaker.
Oh, waiting for this very moment.
Yo, this dude needs an Oscar, bro.
The attack splits the losers up again to give us one more round of individualized experiences.
That dude
Not Mike again, though. Sorry. Bill swims up through a bunch of water until he's back in his flooded childhood basement. He watches as the ghost of his dead brother Georgie yells at his younger self for letting him die after lying about feeling sick that fateful morning.
You lied and I died!
Things get pretty gooey-faced, and then Bill symbolically drowns the guilt of his little brother's death. It's a great moment for his character, but less necessary is him shooting Boy Bill in the head and having him morph into your standard scary face. In any case, his mission accomplished, Bill swims back underwater. Bev and Mike find themselves magically thrown down opposite chasms, which lands Bev in the high school bathroom and Ben in their beloved clubhouse. Bev is berated by various bastards of Derry, some of whom deliver ill-advised quotes. Here's Johnny! Before the stall she's in starts filling up with blood. Jessica Chastain was super game to get bloody, and in fact spent 2 weeks on set covered in blood. The blood-filled stall was difficult for both her and the crew shooting the scene, but at least when it was over, she got some comeuppance against the Muschettis. While Bev's in the marshes, blood dunking, Ben's in the middle of a clubhouse cave-in. And what's worse is that he has to deal with Pennywise's heckling the whole time. Fatty loser! Pennywise closes the hatch on Ben, which was actually the very last shot filmed for the movie, which means when Bill Skarsgård closed that clubhouse door, he was also shutting the door on 86 days of production.
86 days? That's how many months?
Bev and Ben are both just about under the surface when Ben shouts out that he loves her, and here's a poem about it.
Your hair is winter fire! January embers!
His beautiful words give Bev the strength to kick the door down in a totally awesome shot, where it opens into the pit that Ben's inside of. She pulls him up. They say the poem to each other one more time, and Bev finally recognizes Ben's game. But they do not kiss right now, because Bev's face is far too bloody for all that. Finally, Eddie and Richie are chased until they get to a recycled gag from the first movie, with a trio of doors, each different on the scary scale. They try very scary first, which has Betty Ripsom's lower half skipping at them, then not scary, which has a cute little puppy inside. But it turns into a monster and they shut that door again, and that's about it for them. Probably didn't need that whole thing. The once again left out Mike gets grabbed by Big Pennywise, but that attack is stopped by Richie throwing rocks. Richie gets captured by Pennywise's deadlights and probably poops himself a little, before that attack is stopped by Eddie with a metal spear.
Beep, beep, motherfucker!
The spear turns Pennywise into a spider, dragon, Beetlejuice thing, who is then impaled on the edge of his own crash site. But Eddie, you don't actually think you killed it for real, do you?
No. I think I killed it for real!
No!
Oh, poor fool. It's a sad moment, as Pennywise uses Eddie's body like a puppet to tease the other losers before tossing him aside. Damn you, Pennywise!
Does he die?
They set Eddie up and get a good look at the bad damage, then make confusing plans based on bullet points from an entry-level science textbook.
All living things must abide by the laws of the shape they inhabit.
They end up deciding that they can bully Pennywise to death.
There's more than one way to make someone small.
I can't believe that he is.
I'm not sure if that's gonna work on this thing, y'all.
I am the eater.
Someone just got impaled.
See? He's a goddamn Galactus. But their Comedy Central roast thing actually does work. They call him a weak old woman, an imposter, nothing but a stupid mimic, and their barbs deflate the monster sufficiently until it's crawling away from them in defeat.
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know what else to tell y'all. They're just straight up insulting this thing to death.
I'm the eater of the world.
God, imagine if they had Triumph with them. It eventually grows weak enough to physically attack, and then becomes a sick little pancake-headed fella. This final sequence with Pennywise was a difficult one for Skarsgård to film. Although for some shots, they used a kid in a mask to replicate the being's shrunken size, his ultimate form, old Melty Head there, required Skarsgård to be stuffed inside a small hole on set with only his face peering out atop a fake torso. It was a lot of uncomfortable work, but at least it finally revealed what the fuck the Ritual of Chud is.
This is what is known in Stephen King's universe as the Ritual of Chud. And the Ritual of Chud is when you staple intergalactic entity's head to a piece of volcanic. Just like that. It worked.
With its powers all gone, Mike reaches into the being's chest and tears out its scared beating heart. And yeah, I'm putting Pennywise on the kill count. Look at that little face. How could I say no? They crush its heart and turn out its lights, and at long last, Pennywise, or it, or Bob Gray, whatever you want to call it, is no more. That's the good news. The bad news is that Eddie's dead too. Man, after he made it out of the wire alive? I knew this kill was coming, since it happens in the book and the miniseries, but it's still an emotional moment, especially due to Bill Hader's performance as the others drag him away.
We can still help him. He's got nothing left. Go, whoa.
The living losers reverse themselves out of the underworld, then the sewers, and finally Neibolt House entirely, just in time to avoid its implosion into the ground. I've always wondered about the people who live next door there. What's their life like? The losers return to the rock quarry.
They don't hear none of that.
Jump into the water, where they wash off all the clown blood and lament their loss of Eddie. They try to make light and joke around, but Richie, who's usually the funny guy, has no more jokes to make. Yep, this is when the tears usually start for me. God, I can't stand watching Bill Hader so sad. And then they do a friendship huddle. Oh, fuck, man. After Bev and Ben share an underwater kiss, the losers head back to Derry's Main Street, where they reflect on their past lives and remember the good old days with Eddie and Stan. Well, mostly good old days. They were stuck with Dreamchild in theaters.
Stan, man, he had to kill himself, man. Real tough.
Bill finishes writing a new book with an actual passage from Stephen King's novel. Then, after he and Mike share a healthy expression of their friendship,
I love you, man.
Love you too.
He reads a letter he's just gotten from Stanley, written before he killed himself. Stanley says he did what he did because he couldn't bring himself to return to Derry, and he knew that his absence would weaken them in their fight against Pennywise. Except not if he was dead, I guess? I don't know, it kind of makes sense. Stanley's voiceover, reading his letter, plays over wrap-up scenes of the rest of the losers, including Bev and Ben on a boat with a pup.
Wow,
Richie
she got married to
his
him.
and Eddie's initials on a fence in Derry. Oh my God, it's so sad! The movie ends with Mike Hanlon finally driving off to leave Derry for the very first time in his life. How many casualties occur when a bunch of losers fight a killer clown from outer space? Let's find out and get to the numbers.
Eddie, man. Yo, I actually liked him. I actually like Eddie. He survived getting stabbed in the face just to get impaled.
With the victims consisting of one little girl, 6 dudes of various ages, and an evil force from space that can shapeshift into whatever. Maybe eat around that part of the pie. With a real beefy runtime of 169 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 18.78 minutes.
Man, that boy
I'll give the golden
up.
chainsaw for coolest kill to the skateboard kid Dean. This whole scene was made up for the movie, and it's a solid little horror short on its own. Damn good blood splatter too. Dull Machete for lamest kill is going straight to Pennywise. It might not be as bad as punching and kicking a giant spider to death, but still, they just bullied it into a baby body. Not a fan. And like I said 40 odd minutes ago when I started this damn video, I want to take a moment to correct my It Chapter 1 kill count. I've already noted that I was right when it came to not counting Henry Bowers, who obviously survived, or Bev's dad, who died in between movies and who thus doesn't count for me. I am also going to stand by my decision not to include Belch and Vic. I know, they died, but the deleted scene where it was shown was never integrated into the first movie, nor were their deaths explicitly confirmed anywhere in Chapter 2. However, even though we never see him actually get killed, I am going to add Eddie Corcoran to the count. He's shown as missing, and I'm pretty sure his arm is the one we see Pennywise messing around with while Mike is getting bullied. And that brings us to Betty Ripsum, the OG missing kid. I was reluctant to include her because we similarly never see the actual death or her actual corpse. But seeing her split in half in a vision in both the first film and this one is enough to just barely sway me. So Betty, just like Eddie, gets added to the 3 kills I originally counted in Chapter 1, which were Georgie, Patrick Hochstetter, and Butch Bowers. Finally, let's fucking do it. Let's count all the dead kids. Those are legit dead bodies right there, and it was wrong of me not to include them before. Though, in my defense, that was before I established the frame-by-frame counting necessitated by the Purge. Anyway, the clear this shot shows, I think, 26 floating bodies. It's
Damn.
really hard to tell because there's also trash floating around with them, but let's just call it 26. Also, I'm
Probably
assuming they're the same
Pennywise
kids
definitely
that
killed.
washed out with Henry Bauer, which
Pennywise
is why I
definitely
didn't
killed more
include
than-
those bodies
more than
in
26
this
people.
count. For those of you keeping track, that means It Chapter 1 should now have 31 kills, not 3. So go correct your little notebooks or whatever. There, done. A nearly 3-hour-long movie covered in a single kill count. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope
fire,
you're enjoying
bro.
this holiday season.
You gotta like
On
that
Christmas
meat, man.
Eve, we'll be looking at Better Watch Out. But until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this insanely long kill count. I want to thank some patrons like Late Abacab, A. Laurantis, Quaintless, Logan Tersini.
Bro, I like Kill Count, bro. Good movie, man. R.I.P. to the guys, man. R.I.P. to Eddie and Stanley, man. I don't like how Stanley killed himself, for real. He ain't need to do all that. But, hey. I love how James' characters and hosting has changed over the years. He seems more comfortable and confident. That's facts. And the first one, he was just talking. Blah, 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 blah. Bill Skarsgård. That's his name? Did he win a... let me see if he won an Oscar. Because, bro, he actually killed it, bro. Does... I'm not trying to see all this, man. Does... win an Oscar. Best Supporting Actor. He didn't win an Oscar? Who's the only man to win 3 Best Actor Oscars? Who the hell is this? I have no idea who this guy is. Let's see. Maybe I know him, but I just don't know his name. Who the hell is this guy? Never heard of that guy. 3 Best Actor Awards, Meryl Streep, 2 Best Actress Awards, and 1 Best Supporting Actress, Jack Nicholson, 2 Best... Chris Nolan Award for Male Actor in a Leading Role. Yo, he should have won an Oscar, because, yo, that was fire. Like, even his face, bro, he just has it. That boy just has that sauce on him. He has the sauce on his face, bro. Damn. He literally looks like it, bro. It's like Pennywise. Fright Meter Award, Best Supporting Actor, Best Ensemble Cast, Best Supporting Actor. Yeah. It's fire. Fire, fire, fire. I think it should have won more awards than that, but hey, I'm gonna see you boys later, man. How long have I been streaming? An hour and a half. Trying to see where the stop recording button is.